The fact that a woman in India was at work, she was at work and she was approached, gang raped, and murdered.
How long will women keep protecting themselves? Imagine being raped unalived in hospital. In the hospital, something is happening in India and it's causing a lot of chaos. And of course, this is not something unusual, or I feel like when we talk about rape, gang rape, we talk about all these things, it's something that has been happening, right? So the thing is, how long will women keep protecting themselves? Even the fact that you protect yourself, you're in an environment whereby a lady was gang raped in the hospital. She was in the hospital and she was gang raped and murdered, unalived. She got unalived. Let me roll some videos for you all to watch to the end so you can understand what is happening, and I'll be back to talk about it at the end of the video.
The fact that a woman in India was at work, she was at work and she was approached, gang raped, and murdered at her workplace is precisely what's wrong with this system. And what's worse is this. The fact that this letter was sent out to all female doctors following the incident. I read number 7. While on duty, you should be well composed emotionally, remain alert about the surroundings, and should graciously interact with the public so that you don't attract unnecessary attention of unscrupulous people. It's the fact that time and time again, the onus is always still on the women to protect ourselves, to take care, to behave. And the onus is never, ever, ever on the abusers, on the perpetrators. Perpetrators are not being held accountable. There is no sense of accountability. And I think that the construct of the male, the man, has so much power over the world that we are so scared to challenge it. And so the onus always remains on the women to protect ourselves. But the abuse will not stop until the abusers are stopped. We can continue to protect ourselves, but the abuse will not stop until the abusers are stopped.
What's happening in India right now is outrageous, and I don't know how more people aren't talking about it. A girl who was a second-year postgraduate trainee at a local college in India specializing in chest medicine while pursuing a doctorate in environmental sciences was R-worded and then killed. Originally reported to be a self-exit case, but when the police got to the scene and did an autopsy of the body, the heartbreaking truth was revealed. Not only was she R-worded by multiple men, she was gruesomely tortured and then suffocated to death. Broken glass was found lodged into her eyeballs, making them bleed because of the glasses that she was wearing and the pressure that was applied on her face. Her pelvic bone was broken and her feet were facing 2 opposite directions, and there was 150 milligrams of semen found within her body, which suggests there were multiple men involved. What's crazy is that this is not an isolated incident in India. This is actually being called the R-word epidemic at this point because of how frequently it happens. If it can happen in a hospital, it can literally happen anywhere. At this time, they're currently breaking down the walls of this hospital and calling it a renovation to tamper with the evidence of the crime scene. Honestly, being of Indian descent and being born in India, from the day you are raised, you are told to be careful as a little girl. You are told to be mindful of the clothing you are wearing. You are told to be careful of how much you play with your hair in public around men who you don't know because it might be taken as flirting. Honestly, this story has really disturbed me to the core, and this is not uncommon. This is just so tragic though.
We need to talk about this Indian case that is causing thousands of people to go out right now and scream, "We claim the night." And that is also causing countless doctors all over India to go on strike right now. And one of the reasons why it is so important that this case gets international attention is because it seems as if the authorities and the government are trying to cover up what actually happened here. Dr. Moumita Debnath was a 31-year-old second-year postgraduate trainee at RG Kar Medical College in Kolkata, India. In her last diary entry before this case occurred, she talked about wanting to be one of the top performers at her medical exams. A lot of the times when doctors are on shift, they have little areas where they can rest for a few hours and they can sleep. And since the hospital Moumita worked at did not have separate areas for doctors to sleep in, she decided to sleep in an empty seminar hall in her college. The next day, she was reported missing by her colleagues. Moumita was found in that empty seminar hall, but unfortunately she was not alive anymore. I'm gonna get into some of the injuries, so if you cannot bear to hear that, that is absolutely fine. You can skip this part. Moumita was brutally S8 and she was unalived. Her thyroid cartilage had been broken, meaning somebody strangled her. It was reported that there were fluids and blood coming out of her eyes and her nose and her mouth. There were bruises all over her, but some of the worst injuries were in her private area. The damage was so severe that the word torture was used. I have also seen certain reports saying that the DNA of multiple men was found in her, but I couldn't really find a credible source on this exact fact, so if you do know any specifics on this, please let me know. But yeah, one suspect has been arrested, a man with the last name Roy who has a history of DV. But here's the part that enrages the public. As far as I could find, the reason he was arrested was because his Bluetooth headset was found at the scene. I'm going to remind you, this is a seminar hall at a college. A lot of students are normally there during the day. It's not unused or abandoned or anything like that. And arresting somebody based on their headphones being in a seminar hall, where a lot of students probably forget things every once in a while, is low-key crazy. And it's also the reason why a lot of people think that the, authorities and the government are trying to just find a scapegoat as soon as possible so they can, write this case off. And so a lot of people are on the streets demanding justice and demanding an actual investigation into this. If Roy is the actual perpetrator, show us, actual proof that he did what he did. Was there one perpetrator? Were there more? There are a lot of questions that are currently not being answered by anybody. This is also not the first time somebody at a hospital, a doctor, has, faced violence. Security at Indian hospitals is bad. And that's also one of the reasons the doctors are on strike right now. Because they demand for better security measures. And they have every right to do so because they're simply trying to help people and do their jobs. And they're in danger all of the time. People are also planning a nationwide strike, I think on the 18th, 17th, so today. Whoever did this to Moumita wanted it to hurt. They wanted to prolong it and they found happiness and glee in hurting her as much as possible before taking her life. The only thing she wanted to do is to get some sleep before she would go back out and help people. I think this case resonates with a lot of doctors all over the world, because all over the world, doctors have little rooms where they take naps in between shifts or during an extra long shift. And to be attacked when you're in such a vulnerable position, I can't even imagine how Moumita must have felt when she woke up and she was immediately attacked. This case does need more international attention, so the Indian government knows that the people are watching. Not just the people in India, but people all over the world.
Women were told, do not wear some certain dresses because you can provoke some certain men not to, put their eyes on you. We're told not to go to some certain places, don't walk at night, don't dress like this, don't look like this, don't talk like this. We are always the one being told not to do this, to do this, don't do this. But the other gender, I don't think there's an education or there is something that there's a policy or something that you tell these men that will go out there and grape a girl or a lady. I don't think they tell these people, oh, when you see a woman that you look this way. I don't think it happens. We are always the one that have to change. We are always the one that have to be educated. We are always the one that have to be told what not to do. I feel like that is why these things will always keep going. These things will keep happening. Imagine at your workplace. Imagine the hospital you got gang raped. And the annoying part is they're trying to silence it, because I feel like I had I saw one video where someone was naming a very popular or a very wealthy son or something, that because they are very rich, so they're trying to cover up the old tracks. So they're trying to just put in anybody that they see just for the case to, get cancelled, because now it's now everywhere. It's on TikTok and everybody's talking about it. So it's international. It's no longer just in that premises. So they just want to cancel the whole thing and just arrest anybody they want to see. But I feel like they know who is responsible. But you know, when you have money to cover up all those things, we watch these movies now. The rich men, their sons can do things like this, and they kind of cover it up with their money and just put in anybody that doesn't have money to cover up. You know, this is just so sad. I just feel sorry for a family. Like, imagine getting gang raped. And I know that she would have struggled, she would have tried to shout. And after doing that, you unalived her. You guys unalived her. Like, it was not enough for you to just grape her and just let her go. Maybe she would recover years later. I don't know if she'll ever recover anyway. But gang rape and unalive her. Why? I don't know. What is your take on this video? Because this is what is happening, and I decided to share with you all today. This is what is happening in India, and you all need to know. Of course, we are not in India, and you are not in India. I know maybe most of my viewers are not also in India, but then this is something common that happens to women around the world, and we cannot just ignore it because we are not in that country. Let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section, and thank you all so much for tuning in today's video. Is your girl Maria Davis, and of course I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.